Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Verns? How are you this morning? Oh, let me turn my phone on. Hold on. I hope everyone is well. All right. Okay. I hope everyone is well. We will be talking about fear this morning. We're talking about fear. Let me switch over my. Good. Okay. All right. So this morning we're going to be talking about fear. So we're doing the ABCs of communicating. Welcome to Talk. You Can Talk. This is class I do on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So if you are up and available, I do this at 5 a.m. in the mornings, and we discuss a letter of the alphabet and something related to communication. So, and this morning we're talking about fear. All right, I'll give just a couple of minutes and, see who all pops in. I see 3 people watching. Welcome in for those of you. You are fearful sometimes. We all are fearful sometimes. We all are a little fearful sometimes for multiple reasons. And we're going to talk about several of those reasons that we're fearful. Am I coming in clear? I don't need to hit the refresh button or anything, do I? All right. So welcome for those of you who are watching. I appreciate you all being here this morning. We are fearful for multiple reasons when it comes to communicating, and we're going to talk about several of those reasons and just talk about some thoughts and ideas and give some suggestions of things that we can do to sort of work through that fear. We're going to acknowledge the fear, acknowledge those things that we're fearful of. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Burns. Acknowledge the things that we're fearful of. A lot of times we're afraid because we think that we're alone in the situation. We think we're alone in the matter. And the enemy tells us a lot of times that we're not prepared, that we are not ready to deal with or accept or ready to face the outcome of what a lot of times a conversation may need to have. And yet when we look in Isaiah 4, chapter 41, verses 10, he says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, and I will help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Right? So he's telling us, number one, you are not alone. You are not alone when it comes to your conversations. I'm sorry, I felt like I was getting bit by something. We're not alone. And if we're believers, we always have 3 people with us: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So we are never alone. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you sharing me out. Thank you. We're not alone. So there are 4 things that I like to keep in mind when I'm facing fear and dealing with fear to help me get through the conversation, work my way through the conversation. And the first thing I like to do is make sure I'm working on my timing. I always want to make sure that I'm trying to make some attempt to approach a person at the right time about a situation or about a conversation that I need to have with them. When we try to talk to people when they are, angry, sleepy, tired, frustrated, if we know the person that we're trying to have the conversation with and we kind of know their behavioral patterns or their character pretty well, we really want to work on focusing on the time that we try to approach them. And if at all possible, try to preset the time. Try to preset the time and say, "Hey, I need to talk with you. Can you tell me when is a good time that'll be available for you? Or let me know when you have a minute." Or I need to talk to you about something that's a little heavy, or whatever the situation is. Yes, we are not alone. Absolutely. So we want to make sure that we think about the time. If you're not a morning person, if they're not a morning person, obviously that's not the time to try to have, difficult conversations. The second thing we want to work on is our approach. Approach is everything. if you know that you are emotional about this situation already, you're or things are you're already feeling a certain kind of way about the subject that you need to have. Good morning, Kay Renee. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It is happy Monday. Yes, it's a happy Monday. It was a good weekend, so I'm very thankful for that. Approach. So we want to make sure that we are approaching people with what term that I've often heard, and I'm sure you all have heard it too, where with carefrontation and not confrontation. So if we're already feeling a certain kind of way about it, and we know that they are going to feel a certain kind of way about what we bring to them, we absolutely want to make sure that we're bringing our best self, our best intentions, our best words, our kindness approach, or our loving approach as possible. Or if we're feeling a certain kind of way about it, our humble approach. If we know that maybe they've angered us, and we're fearful because we know that this has the potential of going left real quick, then we need to make sure that we're coming at them as humbly as possible, because we want to work through the situation and not start a big, argument. And the third thing that I like to keep in mind is our intention. When we're approaching a person about a conversation, we have to remember what our intention is, because when we forget our intention of the conversation, that's when we tend to lose focus and say things that we don't mean, allow our emotions to take over, and ends up taking the conversation somewhere that we didn't intend for it to go. So if we keep in mind that we're trying to come to some resolution with this person, or we're trying to get back in relationship with this person, because maybe we haven't spoken in years or a long period of time. And if we're trying to get back into some kind of relationship with this person, we have to keep that in their mind when we're approaching the conversation. And then the last thing we have to do is trust. We have to trust that God will be there with us, walking us through the words to say, because sometimes we don't know what to say. We don't know what words to bring to the conversation. We don't know what's going to set the person off, or maybe we do. So we have to trust that God will guide us through. Speak to the Lord, talk to him and say, God, I don't know. I want to work through this situation. I feel you calling me to work through this situation with this person, but I don't know what to say to him. I don't have the words. And start to and seek him first, for him to start giving you the words, and put it in your mind. Begin to write down what you think you might want to say, how you think, start to put a little script together, even if you have to, in your mind, or you can write it down. Okay, I'm going to work on trying to say this, or I know that there's at least these 3 points that I want to get across in this conversation. And try to have some thought or idea about what it is that you at least want to make sure you get across before you just go showing up in front of the person and not knowing what to say. Try to have some kind of thought process or idea in your mind before you start talking to the person, so that you have an idea, and pray over those things that you want to talk about. Those very things. Lord, I want to bring this to them, and I'm already upset about it, or I'm already frustrated about it, or I'm already, feeling however I'm feeling about it. So help me figure out how to say these 3 things in a way that they will be able to receive it. Okay. And let them know when you approach them what you hope the outcome will be. Okay. So that they know, okay, so they know too, because maybe they need to know too that you're not trying to start an argument with them or make them angry, or, because people get upset when they say, well, when they don't know what our intentions are, when they don't know that we're not coming at them to start an argument. So and we don't want them to take what we're saying the wrong way, just because they're not sure why we're even in front of them, or maybe they do know why we're in front of them, but yet they still don't know if we're trying to make amends, or if we're trying to make them feel bad, if we're trying to make them angry. Or if we're trying to make them do something they don't want to do, whatever the situation is, try to let people know what our intentions are. Hey, I'm here because I want to work through this. I want to be back in good relationships with you. I want us to be able to exist in the same room without having to worry about, us getting into a big argument, or I want to be able to be comfortable or be at peace, with this situation, or I want us to be able to work through this together and not separately. Okay, so state what your intentions are and remember why we're having, so that we can remember why we're having the conversation and trust that God is with us. So some of the fears that we are afraid of, number one, is fear of denial. We fear that they're going to deny what it is that we are trying to bring to them. They're not going to accept it. They're not going to want to take our thoughts or our ideas or our suggestions to try to work through it. Maybe they're not even willing to listen to us. Maybe over the years we've lost some level of credibility or trust with this person, and that can be a huge barrier to try to work through. That can be a huge barrier to try to work through. So, number one, ask God, Lord, I need to talk to this person, and I'm not sure that they're even going to hear me. I'm not even sure if they're even going to want to see me, whatever the situation is. Ask God to prepare their hearts, to prepare, make a divine appointment. Ask him to make a divine appointment in the spirit that we can meet and talk, and that they will at least listen. Go to the person and ask them or call them. Hey, I know we haven't spoken in a long time, or I know we're both, really upset with each other, or, I know you may not want to talk to me right now or hear me right now, but I really want to ask you if you would be willing to give me just a little bit of your time, a little bit of your attention, and allow me to just say the things that I need to say before you respond. Just listen to my heart, listen to what I have to say. Give me opportunity, if at all possible. You can find it in your heart to give me opportunity to listen to what I need to say before you respond. And, go from there. Ask if they would be willing to have a open mind and a open heart. And that's all we can do, right? So that prayerfully they will give us opportunity to speak, and then we will say the things that we need to say what we're willing to, commit to, and then honor those things. A lot of times we lose trust with people because our words have no integrity. And when our words don't have any integrity, when we're not following through with the things that we say that we will do, or when we do the exact opposite of what we say that we will do, we tend to lose trust and integrity with people. That's usually one of the main reasons people fall out with us, is because our words can't be trusted. So fear of denial, right? So we have to work through that fear of denial. And if y'all have anything you want to pop in the chat or respond, go right ahead. This is class, so feel free to ask any questions. The second thing we get afraid of is truth. We're afraid of the truth, right? We can be fearful because sometimes we don't want to know the truth. We don't want to accept the truth. We don't want to acknowledge the truth. We don't want to hear what the truth may be. Maybe we haven't dealt with the truth ourselves. Maybe we haven't accepted it ourselves, and we're not ready to deal with it, let alone talk to anyone about it. But here's the thing about truth that I've discovered that I absolutely love about it, is how freeing it is. When we hold when we hold our secrets or our frustrations, whatever it is that we're feeling within us, and we don't talk about them, if we don't let them out, we're basically being held hostage to our own thoughts and our own secrets. We have to be willing to release our truth, because if not, the enemy takes that thing that we're trying to keep secret and what's the word I'm looking for? He like bullies us with it. He bullies us with those things that we try to keep secret, because he knows we're trying to keep them secret. He knows that we don't want these things to get out. He knows that we're feeling a certain kind of way about it and nobody knows it, but him and God. So those are the things that he tries to bully us about. Like, I know you don't want them to know this. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and tell them that and see how they respond? Why don't you be honest, right? So these are the things that's going on in our head, because we have not released the truth or dealt with the truth. So when we release the truth, then he no longer has that ability to hold us, captive to those things that we're trying to keep secret. He can no longer bully us with it, manipulate us with it, chastise us about it, whatever the situation is. When we go ahead and release it, we can shut him up. We can shut them up because now we can say, you know what? I've already talked about that. They already know. We've already discussed that. It's not a secret anymore, you know? So the truth is freeing. The truth is freeing. Some people can't handle the truth. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can't handle, sometimes we ourselves can't handle the truth. It can be difficult to deal with the truth of what we know to be, because, you know, sometimes the truth means that we need to deal with some things within ourselves, you know, and not just the things within the other person. Sometimes, and we're not ready to accept that truth or deal with that truth or acknowledge it, because that means it may cause us to have to do something different than what we're comfortable with. And when we have to be pulled out of our comfort zone, no one's ever happy about having to be pulled out of their comfort zone, or to have to do something different than what they've always done. And so if that means that we have to change our ways, that we have to change our thoughts, that we have to change the way we communicate, then we have to be willing to do that if we want to improve the health of our relationships. Sometimes we think it's always the other person, but sometimes it's things that we have to deal with within ourselves. So we have to be willing to face that truth. The next thing that we tend to get upset about or fear about, but here's the other thing about truth. Truth brings peace. Truth brings peace in a relationship and within ourselves. When we're able to speak the truth, if you can, even if you, like I said, even if you have to write down what you know the truth to be, just for yourself first, and then pray about it, think about it, you know, process it, and then figure out, okay, how can I take this truth to the person? Because also the truth may mean that we may not need to be in relationship with this person anymore. That's the other thing. And we may not be willing to let that go. And, or we need to change the nature of the relationship that we have with this person. And we're not ready to face that for whatever reasons, because of fear. You know, we're fear of being alone, fear of, you know, most of the time being alone. So we have to be willing to be at peace and to know that you're in a relationship that you shouldn't be in. That's not good for you. That's not healthy for you. Brings more turmoil in your life, and it clutters up the space for God to come in and bring what is the type of relationship that is supposed to be in your life. So when we have filled up the space, our space with nonsense, when we filled up the space with, you know, people who are just taking up space in our life, they're taking up our time, they're taking up our energy, they're taking up, you know, everything about who we are, that means we don't have room to allow God to bring someone else in. We're not making room for that right person, those right people to be in there, because we're too worried, that we're too afraid to lose what we have. And we can't be afraid to lose what we have. We want the right people in our lives, because it makes all the difference in the world when you're in the right relationship, and your life is full and you're happy and things are healthy and you're communicating well. And, you know, you love the person, they love you back. I mean, who doesn't want that? But yet we have to be willing to make room for that and realize when someone is in our lives that is not bringing good, or they're not bringing out the best in us, and we're not bringing out the best in them, we need to be willing to let those relationships go. If it's a, you know, like romantic type relationship, okay, we have to be willing to let those types of relationships go so that we can make room for what is supposed to be. We spend so much time sometimes and waste so much energy working on keeping people in our lives that aren't supposed to be there, when we could be working on improving ourselves and working on, you know, doing the things that we've been purposed to do. And so that, you know, we allow room and make room for who God is supposed to have in our lives. And when we can keep that at the forefront of our minds, we'll quit wasting time and quit wasting our energy on people who aren't even supposed to be in our lives. Okay. All right. Good morning. Thanks. Good morning. I'm not going to say underscore. I'm just going to say thanks. Is that okay? All right. The next one we have fear of is anger. We are afraid that there's going to be some anger involved, right? We're afraid that this conversation is going to go all the way left because of the nature of the topic, right? Maybe we're going to ask the person to do something that we know they're not going to want to do, or just all kinds of reasons. Maybe it's a hot button issue for them. Maybe it's a topic that they're very sensitive about. We get very worried that they are going to be angry and that there's going to be anger involved, and we're not going to be able to control our emotions or control what comes out of our mouths. That they're going to reject the things that we have to say, or they're going to throw things back in our face, that things that we've done, things that have caused them to be angry. And so they're not even going to hear what we have to say or listen to what we have to say. But we still have to work through that fear of their anger. Because again, if it's something that we need to get off our chest, if it's something that we need to work through, the enemy wants us to stay silent. He wants us to stay silent about those things that are frustrating us and to stay in misery, because ultimately that's what it does. That's it. And thank you. Virtual hug. Oh. Okay. So he wants us to to stay in misery and angry and not speak up for ourselves and not trust God. Excuse me. That he will help us work through our fears. Because how many times have we gone ahead and said what we needed to say, and the outcome wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be, right? It goes a little better. Like we walk away saying, that was a little better than I thought it was going to be. So we have to trust that God will help us through the situation. And even whether it's better or if it's worse, sometimes it ends up being worse than we thought. But as long as we spoke the truth, we stood up in courage and in the strength of the Lord and spoke the things that needed to be said. Sometimes things just have to be said so that, like I say, so that the enemy can't use it against us. So we have to get over the anger. They may be angry, and we may tell them up front, I need to talk to you about some things that you're not going to like, and it's going to make you upset. But here's why I want to speak about these things. And here's why I think we need to talk about it or try to work our way through it, and let them know why you're bringing it up. Because they're going to get mad. Like, why are you bringing this up? Why are we talking about this? It's going to make me mad. And yet you're still talking to me about this, or you're still bringing this to me. And they start immediately going off. Keep our try to stay level headed. I think, was it you, thanks, that asked me the other day, like, how do we deal like with what I call like an amplifier, an exaggerator? Was that you, if I remember you? Asking the other night about how we deal with an exaggerator, somebody who just always, if it's not you, I'll go ahead and talk about this anyway. We can't control others. We can't control what they do, but we can control ourselves. We can't control how they're going to react. So if we're dealing with someone who is worried about their anger, then we need to try to stay calm, number one. So make sure that we're in a calm space. If our emotions are already high, if our emotions are already feeling a certain kind of way, that's probably not the best time to talk. So when we know that we're going to have a conversation where some anger is going to be involved, we have to try to stay calm, level-headed, keep our voices and our tone lower, and try not to, let those emotions take over. And when you feel that, just kind of stop, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, and try to bring your emotions back down, because they're going to try to work them up. They want to work them up. They want to work up your emotions so that, you can pop off at them or snap at them or do that. And then that gives them more reason to want to do what they're doing. Good morning, Traces of Twan's Life, right? Did I read that right? Yes. Traces of Twan's Life. Good morning. Welcome in. I'm happy to see you. Glad you're here. So we have to try to stay calm and not give them reason to want to continue to, yell at us, because they're trying to bully us down. They're trying to, yell at us to a point where we're like, either going to go off at them or completely shut down. So again, we have to remember why we're there, what we're trying to work through, and get free from the turmoil or our thoughts of what these issues are so that we can try to work through them. And then the other thing too with anger, if you know that it's going to be anger, if the anger gets to a point where there's going to be some violence involved, then we may want to, bring in a third party, a referee, friend, person that they trust, someone that you trust. It's better if you can get someone that they trust, because you don't want them to feel like the two of you or the three of you or all of you are bullying up against them, or trying to put them in a corner. So if you know that there's going to be some anger involved, you may want to try to bring in a third party, someone you trust, a professional, a pastor, whoever, so that you can have the conversation, but still don't let the fear of the anger not cause you to not bring the conversation forth and try to work through it and talk through it. Even just beginning, even if you don't come to any resolution at the time, put it on the table, get it off your chest, get it off your mind, so that you can start the process of trying to work through it and let it be, a little bit at a time, one conversation at a time, until they know that you have intentions to work through this, or that you're not going to give up until you all get to some sort of resolution, so that you can be at peace with one another. So you can try to have some state of health with the relationship. That doesn't mean you're going to be best friends, or that maybe, you're always going to, maybe you're not even going to be madly in love with one another, but you'll be able to get along with each other. Like I say, reside in the same space together, or have a normal conversation, a decent conversation with the person. Sometimes that's what the state of health looks like. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be back, the way we were maybe when we first fell in love with the person, or when we used to be really close with the person. It just means that now we're back to a state of health where we can communicate with one another, reside in the same space with one another, talk respectfully to one another without it getting to be crazy out of hand. And the last thing I'll bring forth is judgment. A lot of times we're afraid of the judgment that may come if we bring forth the conversation. They'll judge us on the words that we speak. Maybe they're not going to agree with what we have to say. Maybe they're going to think we're overreacting or worrying about nothing. We fear these things when we're having conversations with people. Maybe they think that we're wrong about something. You completely off with that. I don't even know why you think that, or how you came to that conclusion about the situation. Whatever it is, we fear the judgment. Then maybe they'll think that it's ridiculous, or that it's silly, or it has no merit. And then they'll try to start going down a line to show us where we're wrong about it, or try to bring up a point about the situation. But here's the thing, we have one judge, and that's the good Lord above. We have one judge who we have to please. Okay. So no matter how they feel about it, no matter how they think that we feel about it, we still have to speak on it sometimes if it's something that needs to have some resolution or acknowledgement in our life. So we can't, when we're having conversations with people and they're judging us, we can't always look for their agreement or their acceptance. They may not agree with what we have to say. They may not feel the same way about it. They may not even want to accept it, but that doesn't mean, and that's okay. We have to be okay with, they may never feel the same way about the situation or the issue as we do. And we have to get okay with that. Can we live with it? Can we live with that? And can they live with us, knowing that we don't agree on these particular things, but we can't be afraid to speak no matter how they feel about it. We can't be afraid to speak on it. You have to feel that you have a voice in your relationships. One of the worst things is to be in a relationship where you feel like you have no voice. So you have to be able to feel like you have a voice in the relationship, that you can be heard, that people don't always have to agree with you, but you can say the things that you need to say in the space where you can say it and still be respected, still be loved, still not be treated in a bad way. And that's where you want to be. That's where we want to be able to, conversate and to be free to be who we are. Isn't that what we all want? To be free, to be who we are, to be at peace with ourselves, to be at peace with God, and to be at peace with the person that we're in relationship with. Okay. So we have to get out of the habit of trying to please others. We tend to change our words, change our thoughts, change how we say things because we're afraid of hurting a person's feelings, or afraid of setting them off, or afraid of, doing whatever it is that they could potentially do. So, and not worry about the repercussions of what we have to say, not be so afraid of the repercussions, because like I say, if we have to change the nature of the relationship, or if we have to get this person out of our life, and that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen, so that we can be at peace, and we can have the people in our lives that are supposed to be there. Everything that happens is purposed. Everything that happens is purpose. So we can't worry about the fear of the outcome, because if that means that the relationship is severed, that the divorce has to happen for whatever reason you feel at peace with, according to the word or whatever that is, I'm not an advocate of divorce, but I have been divorced, so I understand that things happen. That put us in that space, that force us to put us in the position where we have to make that decision. If we have to separate, whatever the situation is. So I have no judgment towards that. And please don't think that I do. But the reality of the relationship will be revealed. The reality of the relationship will be revealed when we are willing to communicate and face our fears and say the things that need to be spoken. Let's see. So if the relationship has to change, we pretty much have to be at peace with it. Let's see. If you are heard, but the conversation is due to betrayal, how does being heard help? Let's see. If you are heard, but the conversation is due to betrayal, how does being heard help? It helps to free you from the frustrations and that you're feeling. Okay. If the person has betrayed you and you never talk to them about how you feel about it or how it has made you feel, then, like I say, you need to be able to get off your chest what has happened and how you feel about it and how it made you feel. They may not like it. They may not want to hear it, but you need to speak it for yourself, to free yourself and to help yourself be at peace with what you're feeling, because it's kind of like in a court case, right? Someone has killed a loved one or caused harm to a loved one, and the judge gives the family the opportunity to say what they need to say to the person who killed the family member, because it allows you peace and freedom. So don't worry about how they're going to feel about it. You may not get the response that you want from them, but you still need to be able to say the things that you need to say to get it off your chest, to clear your mind, to be at peace that, okay, I said what I needed to say, and however they felt about it, because they heard you. They may not want to acknowledge that they heard you. They may not want to give you the benefit, or that they may not give you what you want on purpose, but they heard you. They heard you. They may not want to acknowledge it or accept it, but most of the time, I guarantee you, they've heard you. And so you need to. But just don't focus that if they don't give you the response that you want, because they're probably not. They're probably not, and maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe they will be remorseful or sorry or whatever. And then if you decide you want to work through that, you all go ahead and do that. But do it for yourself. Do it for yourself, and not for them. Let's see, especially if there's a refusal to acknowledge a betrayal. Yeah. And that can happen. Where they don't feel that they have wronged you. Clearing your mind. Yeah. So do it for yourself. All right. So this is it's been 30 minutes. I wanted to do these approximately 30 minutes in the morning. I thank you all for listening. So we're going to work on our work on getting over our fear. Tomorrow will be my tip. I'm not sure what that is just yet, but the tip will be coming out tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we'll be back here at 5 a.m. for class. Okay. All right. So thank you all. Go forth, be strong, and get over those fears and know that you are not alone, that the Lord is with you. Okay. Father, I just thank you. Be with each and every person this morning as we face our fears, prepare ourselves to face the fears of those conversations that we need to have. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for comforting us, giving us the courage, upholding us with your righteous right hand. To just do the things and say the things that we need to say. Father, we don't want the enemy to hold us captive any longer to these fears that have consumed our minds and our thoughts and our energy. Lord, free us. Help us to be free from these things that are wreaking havoc in our lives. Lord, heal these conversations. Prepare the hearts of those who we need to speak to about these conversations we need to have. And prepare their minds to receive what we have to say, and help us to bring the words to them in a way that they will be able to receive it, to be caring, to be as loving as we possibly can, to be truthful and honest and upfront about the things that we need to say, because we know that in the end, you will work it all out for our good. Father, we love you. We thank you. And these things I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. You all have a beautiful day. And I will talk with you on Wednesday morning. All right, Wednesday morning. Be the light, everyone. Be the light.